Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And Ryan, buddy, old pal, welcome back.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me again.
We're actually racing for Team Mike's bikes this time, huh? This is we're back now, right? This isn't Chicago Intelligentsia Cup.
Back at it at the Oakland Grand Prix.
And this is your footage because I, long story, was hit by a car and taken out of commission for the district championships. I almost said state championships. There's no such thing. This is district championships. Very important race for us. Very important race for me because last time I raced here, I won, and I was so bummed. But good thing is I was still out there capturing footage and living vicariously through Ryan's front GoPro is what we're looking at right now. How are you feeling for this race, man?
I was pumped for this race. You know, we had a good one a couple weeks before at the SF Giro, and we had some big names out racing and a big field. I think we had 70, 80 guys out for this race on a beautiful day in California.
Yeah, and we're like between skyscrapers here. Oakland, California, like Ryan said. It makes the GPS a little wonky, so yeah, every year I post this video, every year people are like, you went 60 miles an hour on your bike? And the answer is no. There's some goofy GPS data. But because it's district championships, it attracts quite the crowd. Like, not just spectators, I'm talking. We're talking competition here, right? You want to rattle off some names who were here?
Yeah, I mean, we had 2/3 of the U.S. Pronat Criterium podium at this race with Luke Lamperti in the Stars and Stripes and Tyler Williams from Legion, along with, I think, a couple other pros, Quinn Felton on a Volo, and then some strong teams with Project 74, Tayroon, Volet, and, a handful of others, too many to mention.
Right. Yeah. No. Well done. Those are all the names I had written down. And then 8 of us on Team Mike's bike, something like that. We had the full squad.
The full squad minus you, one sprinter down.
Oh, so sad. I know. Gosh, I will come back to defend, and it'll be a funny time when I do because it'll be like last time I raced here I won, and that was 3 years ago. So, but it wasn't this year. But yeah, that's the makeup here. Kind of high stakes. It's district championships. It's a big race for us. What was our plan coming in? I mean, we're on the heels of a pretty big win at the Giro de San Francisco. Why fix what isn't broken? Was that the same plan coming into this race?
Yeah, we had a plan to line up a lead out with me following Sean and him taking me into the finish. We knew we had to make Luke and Tyler work, and we were going to do that through continuous attacking, forcing them to chase. But we had to get them tired and then hopefully line it up for the last couple laps and just nuke the sprint.
So before we fast forward and see how that kind of plays out, I want to take one lap here and talk about the features of this course because we just went through that really narrow kind of back alley. Now we're coming into this long straight back section. Is this slightly downhill or is it just fast? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it runs downhill until you hit the cross street and then it turns back uphill. And the wind kind of swirls, like you said, between the buildings. But today it was sort of hitting you in the face as soon as you get to the top of this little rise before you come around the corner. So it really slowed the pack down and slowed the race down coming into this second to last corner here.
And then one thing I noticed is they repaved the course, except for this one section right here between the final 2 corners, which is still kind of lumpy, bumpy, potholey, unpaved.
Yeah, there's definitely some holes out on the course. There's definitely some broken glass out on the course. I know there were a number of flats. Yeah, there's some hazards. There were some cones in this section, sort of 100, 150 meters from the finish line that made for an interesting line headed down the final straight too.
Right. Okay. So let's see how we execute on our plan. Let's fast forward a little bit, but not before mentioning the sponsor of today's video. Headed out on a training ride with my boy Blaine. What's up, dude?
Guys?
We're not going that long. What is it? 4 hours? 5 hours? No, I'm just kidding. It's like an hour. I don't need 2 bottles. 2 bottles of mix is like at least an hour and a half, 2 hours of like intense riding. Hour endurance spin. I want to bring 2 bottles. The first one's got mix. The second one, dude, when was the last time you just brought water on a ride?
Almost never.
Almost never. You need electrolytes. So thank you, LMNT, for sponsoring this video. That is drink LMNT
breakaway.com/NorCal. You'll get a free sample pack with any order. And I love their product. It says exactly what is in the mix on the packet. It is a scientifically backed formula to increase your electrolyte intake. It's not just for today's ride, it's for tomorrow's ride. So check out the link in the description. Now back to the video.
So actually we can skip forward quite a bit because the middle of this race from Ryan's perspective was chill. And that's kind of the point, right? There's 8 of us, and Ryan's being the final guy in the lead out. His entire purpose in the middle of this race is to not spend a bunch of energy. It's to save as much as he can for those final couple laps, especially the final 200 meters when it's most consequential. And for that reason, I'd say probably the biggest breakaway of the day was this relatively small group of 2. It was teammate Chris, and it was one of our competitors on Project 74, and this is Max. Both really strong breakaway riders. This couldn't have been a better situation for us because this really put a lot of pressure on the big sprint threats in Tyler Williams on Legion, Luke Lamperti, our Stars and Stripes national champion. You must have been stoked when this went off, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, this is right according to plan. Our sprinters sitting in, the rest of our team sitting in, while Chris is off the front applying that pressure, and the other big threats are chasing him around in circles.
And as a spectator with the long camera lens watching this race, I was so stoked when this went off because I was just watching lap after lap. I was like, okay, this lap Tyler's chasing. Next lap, okay, now this time Luke is on the front chasing. Next lap, Quinn is chasing. It's basically like the major competition we identified before this race even began are all having to commit a bunch of energy in order to bring this back. So Chris was very aware of this, teammate Chris. And then Max was very aware of this. He is racing for his teammate Miles. So both of them were just full throttle on the front, making sure that pain they were inflicting on Tyler, Luke, and Quinn was going as long as possible. And yeah, they completely emptied the tank. It was such a bro move. It was such a good teammate move. And that really sets us up perfectly for the finish of this race. But not before mentioning, don't just take our word for it. We peeped Tyler Williams' Strava file and hit him with it, Ryan. What was the difference? You guys were about the same size. What was the power difference?
Yeah, I think my average was something around 300, and then Tyler was closer to 350 for the 55-minute race.
The power of teamwork. I mean, Tyler's strong, but hey, if you can make him chase around Chris and Miles both just committed to staying away, then all the better. Those are matches he doesn't have to burn in the final couple laps. So anyway, let's fast forward here and let's see how the last few laps play out. And that brings us into a little over 5.5 kilometers to go. We're 5 laps to go. And race is going to be over here in just a few minutes. And here comes Quinn up the inside, absolutely sending it. And this is a strong move by him, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I didn't see this one coming. Pace kind of lulled, and Quinn just sent it. He's super strong rider, very strong climber, but not a sprinter. So this is a great move from him to go from a little farther out from the finish.
Right. Yeah. People might criticize him for why on earth would you go up against 7 remaining Mike's Bikes riders, but Ryan, you nailed it. I mean, he's one of the best climbers I've ever seen, but he's not necessarily a great field sprinter. And he's probably looking back thinking, okay, Mike's has a couple of field sprinters. We have the national champion in the Stars and Stripes. We have Tyler Williams. He's thinking, I have a 0.0% chance of out-sprinting those guys. So his best chance at taking down the dub here at the district championship is from a solo move just like this. And he timed it beautifully, came up the inside. I think it was a great move. It's a low percentage move, but it's his best shot, unfortunately, at this point in the race. This deep into the race, inside of 5 kilometers to go, inside of 5 laps to go. Now I can see he's actually introducing some chaos because we're not so organized like we usually are, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we have to chase this back, but you can see other riders are sort of infiltrating the train. But there's still time, so the plan now is get organized and just methodically bring that move back while keeping the sprinters sheltered in the draft.
Right, and this is where our good teamwork comes in on Mike's Bikes, because I think a lot of times this would work in lower categories. I have even, as a sprinter myself, I have done something that Quinn has done to success in criteriums, especially in earlier categories, because it's harder with less experienced riders to do a couple of things. First, organize as a team. It's easier said than done. And then B, this requires teammates to fall on the sword, to give up their own chances of success in order to get a team result. And that's a hard thing to sell and a hard thing to understand, right? Like, I think a lot of people come out to a race, especially if it's a big one like this, and their parents will come out and watch them. The girlfriend's watching from the sideline. And I think it's hard to be like, yeah, I'm just going to kill it from 4 laps to go to 2 laps to go, and then my race is going to be over. It's like hard to explain that to non-racers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between placing or racing to place in the race and racing to win the race. And you'll employ different strategies and tactics if you want to place well than if your goal is to win the race outright.
Yeah, and as somebody with a team, that's one of the obligations you have when you join a team, especially one like Mike's Bikes, where we really put an emphasis on racing together, as a single unit. Is not always nice as it seems, right? You have to lead people out sometimes. You have to chase people back really late in the race, and that's part of having a successful team. And that's a long-winded way of saying that's exactly what we had to do: burn through a couple of riders in order to chase Quinn back. And we effectively chased him back. In fact, arguably faster than we wanted to, because here he is in front of you, back into the fold. And there's still a lot of meat on the bone, man. 3 laps to go, and I'm sure you're probably thinking at this point, like, okay, let's get back to our organization, and let's make sure that Tyler isn't going to jump us. Let's make sure that Luke isn't going to jump us, and let's make sure that we are organized as a team. Let's do our thing. That's what I would be thinking. What's going on in your head at this point?
Yeah, I mean, up until this point, plan was, everything went according to plan. Tyler and Luke had done a ton of work. We've still got a bunch of teammates. I think it's 6 or even 7 in the race at this point. So, my heart rate is relatively low. Just thinking like, yeah, let's organize. Let's start ramping up the pace to the end, and then seal the deal.
Yeah, this field this was a fast addition. And I know that, yeah, your heart rate's under control. You're extremely fit, Ryan. And you also had, because of, what the team had been doing the whole race, an armchair ride up to this point. But half the field is gone. Like, we started with 60 or 70 riders, and already here we're coming into 2 laps to go. Half the field is missing, and we're going to shed even more riders here as the pace picks up. And who I've missed out kind of notably here is I think there's only 2 of them on Project 74. The projects, the specialized kind of factory racing guys, and I do remember this moment. I thought it was 2 laps to go. Here they go, ripping up the inside. I want to get your take. Like, what is the idea here? There's only 2 of them, and they're sending it with 2 laps to go. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a bold move. I mean, it's really well executed. They took the front of the race, headed into that turn 1, so they're able to get a bit of a gap. But Max had been off the front of the race for quite a while with Chris, and we're going pretty fast at this point. So it kind of leaves Miles out in front with 2 laps still to go, and I don't know if he can take it for 2 laps from the entire Mike's team and Luke and Tyler. But they sent it, and props to him for doing it and executing that.
Right. I'm wondering if part of the math was the same math that Quinn was doing, which is like, Miles is he's a strong field sprinter in his own right, but he's more of a well-rounded, like, he's a go from 2 laps to go sort of a guy. So I wonder if he was looking back thinking, like, there is no chance I'm going to beat the likes of Luke in a sprint. So maybe, I wonder if he was doing that math. And what this means for us on Mike's Bikes is, like, even more chaos. The second we had some breathing room, okay, let's get organized, let's get the order right, let's get back to our old ways of a proper lead out. All of a sudden, like, dude, Brian, you're on the front now, so, like, more chaos ensues, and this is last lap now. Like, walk us through what's going on. You probably don't want to be on the front.
Yeah, I mean, as we're bringing Miles back, I didn't want to let Tyler's wheel go, because I'm watching for now Tyler to counter over the top of that. So once he comes back, I do let a couple, at least one teammate in here, but I'm hoping to see the rest of the lead out materialize very quickly, headed into 500 meters, 600 meters to go.
And then here comes Jackson on the right. Oh my God, here comes Jackson. You're doing like sprint-like numbers, but now you guys are up to speed, right?
Yeah, Jackson gets it going real fast, which is what we need. I'm still hoping Sean will come through and we'll have our set order for the finish. But I look under my arm and all I see is stars and stripes. I didn't see any purple jerseys behind me, so I'm thinking this is it for the finish. I'm going to stay on Gavin's wheel. He's going to punch it coming out of this last corner. I'm telling him to go, and the road bends a little to the left, so I want to come around on the left, but there's these cones here, and I get a little pinched before I can really open it up, and I've already heard Luke launch on the right, and he just pulls it to the line.
Oh my God, it was so close. I could not tell from my perspective who took it down. It wasn't until I saw this amazing sideline footage that our boy Sean beating a national champion by like an inch. But here's the thing, before you guys leave, that's not how we normally do things on Mike's Bike. That was total chaos those last few laps. And I had a thought on how we could have abated that nonsense, that chaos. I think we should have just let Quinn stay out there longer, right? Like, don't chase Quinn back so fast. I think we caught him with like 3 laps to go. Let him hang out there for a while, assured that we would eventually bring him back, and we would have been able to catch our breath for a second, get organized. That would have prevented Miles and Max from going with 2 laps to go, and then we would have gotten the order better. But in any case, huge congrats to Sean, the kid taking down the district championship. And Ryan, man, huge congrats to you as well. On the box, 3rd position, must feel pretty good.
Yeah, always happy to do another lead out for the team.
Well, thanks as always, Ryan, for coming on, man. It's great having you.
Good to be here.
We'll catch you guys in the next one.